From Pacifica, this is Democracy Now!
We are sad that the Greek government is under such great influence by Israel and great pressure. We appeal to the Greek people to understand what we have to do, that we have to sail to Gaza. On behalf of the people of the world, our boat, the Audacity of Hope, is going to sail to Gaza.
U.S. activists are still vowing to set sail to Gaza, despite being turned back by Greek authorities in their first attempt. We'll take you on board the U.S.-flagged ship for an inside look at how it tried to be the first ship in the Gaza Freedom Flotilla to defy Greece's ban and reach Gaza. Then, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange.
We should always see censorship, actually, as a very positive sign, and the attempts towards censorship as a sign that the society is not yet completely sewn up, not yet completely fiscalised, but still has some political dimension to it.
1,800 people gathered in London this past weekend to hear an unusual conversation between WikiLeaks editor-in-chief Julian Assange and renowned Slovenian philosopher Slavoj Žižek on the impact of WikiLeaks on the Arab Spring, the pending lawsuit against MasterCard and Visa, and much more. Today we played part 2 of the conversation moderated by Democracy Now! All that and more coming up. Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. At least 35 people have been killed, 28 wounded in escalating bombings in Iraq. The deaths follow several other attacks in recent days. On Sunday and Monday, militants targeted Iraq police and military at 11 locations throughout Iraq, killing at least 8 people and wounding 20 others. June was the deadliest month for Iraqis this year, with 271 people killed. It was also the deadliest month for U.S. forces in the region in 3 years, with 14 service members killed. In other Iraq news, the Obama administration's reportedly offering to keep 10,000 troops in Iraq despite vows to bring U.S. forces home by the end of the year. According to the Associated Press, U.S. officials say options have been worked out to keep between 8,500 and 10,000 troops in Iraq through 2012 to train Iraqi security forces. The sustained troop presence depends on a formal request from the Iraqi government. Last week, Navy Vice Admiral William McRaven, who's been nominated to command U.S. Special Operations, said a contingent of commando forces should remain in Iraq. Britain's acknowledged a British drone killed 4 Afghan civilians in March of this year. The deaths occurred when a UK Reaper drone piloted from a U.S. Air Force base in Nevada bombed a truck in Helmand province as it tried to target a militant commander. In other Afghan war news, 4 NATO troops were killed in 2 separate attacks in eastern Afghanistan Tuesday. At least 280 international troops have been killed in Afghanistan this year. A British Navy medic has been sentenced to 7 months in military jail for refusing to deploy to Afghanistan over moral objections influenced by WikiLeaks' release of secret government cables. Michael Lyons applied for conscientious objector status after WikiLeaks exposed the cover-up of civilian casualties in the U.S.-led occupation of Iraq and Afghanistan. Lyons said his conscientious objection to deployment was strengthened after an officer told him he wouldn't be allowed to treat ailing Afghan civilians, which the officer called, quote, a waste of resources. At least 14 people have been killed and over 40 wounded in the central Syrian city of Hama as the regime of President Bashar al-Assad continues a crackdown on opposition protesters. Hama residents say they had protested Assad for the last month without government interference until state forces opened fire during street clashes Tuesday. The violence comes as the Assad government has invited Syria's top opposition figures to attend a national dialogue meeting in Damascus this weekend. The Obama administration's acknowledged detaining a Somali prisoner aboard a U.S. Navy ship for 2 months before ultimately charging him in a U.S. court. The prisoner, Ahmed Abdulkadir Warsame, was captured in an undisclosed Gulf country and held without being told his Miranda rights. He's now been charged with 9 counts related to alleged support for militant groups in Somalia and Yemen. Warsame is the first known foreign terror suspect captured abroad and flown to the U.S. for trial under President Obama. A French boat carrying 8 people as part of the Freedom Flotilla to the Gaza Strip has left Greek waters, defying a ban imposed by Greece under heavy pressure from Israel and the United States. The small vessel is the first to elude Greek authorities after 2 Gaza-bound ships were stopped since Friday. On Tuesday, John Klusmir, the captain of the U.S. flagship, was released from jail following his arrest for setting sail despite the Greek ban. U.S. Boat to Gaza organizer Jane Hirschman says the flotilla's efforts to reach Gaza will continue.
We will be sailing to Gaza. They will not stop us. Our captain has said what he's really concerned about is not his case, but the fact that he wants ships to go to Gaza, and he wants to communicate that to the world.
We'll have more on the audacity of hope in the Freedom Flotilla after headlines. President Obama's called congressional leaders to the White House in an attempt to break the stalemate over a proposed increase in the nation's debt ceiling. Obama said he's confident a deal can be reached.
I've asked leaders of both parties and both houses of Congress to come here to the White House on Thursday so we can build on the work that's already been done and drive towards a final agreement. It's my hope that everybody's going to leave their ultimatums at the door, that we'll all leave our political rhetoric at the door, and that we're going to do what's best for our economy and do what's best for our people.
The oil giant ExxonMobil has acknowledged it's yet to develop a repair plan for a ruptured oil pipeline beneath Montana's Yellowstone River. Exxon says as much as 42,000 gallons of crude oil has leaked into the water and onto surrounding lands. On Tuesday, Democracy Now! Spoke to area resident farmer Alexis Bonagovsky about the rupture.
The place where there's oil on our property is a really diverse area with lots of diverse plant species and wildlife, and usually when you go down there in the evening, that's all you can hear is amphibians and, it's frogs, it's toads, a lot of insects, crickets, and birds. And right now you walk down there at dusk and you don't hear anything.
You can go to our website at democracynow.org for a full interview with Bonagovsky about the ExxonMobil pipeline rupture. And the Obama administration's reversed a long-standing U.S. policy to deny presidential condolence letters to families of soldiers who've committed suicide. Democracy Now! Broke the story in 2009 when we interviewed the parents of Chancellor Kiesling, a U.S. soldier who took his own life during his second tour of duty in Iraq. During his first deployment, Chancellor suffered mental health issues so severe he was placed on suicide watch. After getting back to the United States, Chancellor turned down a bonus offer to return to Iraq in the hopes he would not be redeployed and could get his life together. He committed suicide 1 month after the military forced him to return. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.